right, so we are officially back. Welcome back to Think Differently. Today we are talking about how I think about hard work, and I put hard work in quotation marks. So my perspective on hard work and what I think it really takes to run a business that's healthy and profitable and sustainable in 2026. We got one more person. Let me let them in. And so the first thing I want to say is if you're live, take a minute with this. I mean, maybe you signed up and didn't know the topic, right? So, but I'm curious, like, why did you sign up for this one and maybe not another one, right? Like, why this topic? What does this topic mean for you? What challenges are you having around hard work? What challenges have you had around hard work? I talked a lot in my sort of promotion for today about the double bind of like, make sure you're working really hard, but make sure it looks easy. And like, all the just BS conflicting advice that's out there. So if it's something specifically there that you're trying to figure out how to reconcile, what hard work means to you, really anything that you feel you're grappling with around hard work, I would love to know in the chat, and I can, I'll make a point to address that as we go. And then if you have any questions in particular. So why are you here? What does hard work mean to you? Why is this topic important to you? And like I said, I'd like to make this a conversation, especially for those of you who are joining me live. The other thing for those of you joining me live is I always give away a free mini coaching session at the end of the month. I usually have about 2 of these per month. And then if you're live, you can throw your hat in the ring to win. All you have to do is hit enter me, just type enter me in the comments, and I will tally those up later. So if you'd like to win a free mini coaching session, I would love to support you / bribe you to keep joining me live. And I often forget to say this, but what I normally do with these is I put your name in the hat, and then your name stays in the hat. So if you don't win May's drawing, you might win June or July or August or I drew, I think it was March or April that I drew 2 people who had signed up like in September, who had like entered their name in September. So you just never know when you're, or if you're gonna win. So, and every time you join, your name goes in the hat again. So if you come to the next one and you enter yourself, you've got 2 entries then and your odds go up, right? So please enter yourself if you would like to win a coaching session. And one more thing I had to say about that. Oh, and let me put my links here in the chat really quick. Everything that you might want to do is in these links here. You can catch replays. You can sign up for another Think Differently. You can book a free coaching consultation, which is essentially my discovery call if you're interested in talking about maybe working together. And then I also I'm bringing back something that I haven't done in quite a while. And I'm bringing back my free coaching sessions. My free coaching sessions. What is wrong with me today? Let me have another sip of coffee. Maybe I had too much coffee. I'm bringing back single coaching sessions. So normally my working with me is one-on-one. It's usually more of a long-term, high-ticket investment of 6 months or more. Most of my clients work with me for at least a year and a half, just because it feels good to have support, and that business, there's one thing to do and then there's the next thing to do. And then I also have a 1-week intensive. But something I haven't done in many, many years is a single session, just one session. So if that's something that would be helpful to you today, whether it's about hard work, it's also a really good place to do some strategic planning. Okay, I need to make some decisions here about the direction of the business, or I need to make some decisions about the next quarter, right? And really what my priorities are gonna be. It's a really good one for that. I just ask that you bring one topic, because if we try to solve 87 problems in 1 hour, we're just gonna sprinkle around and not go anywhere. And I really believe in efficiency. So if you'd like a little bit of support, the link is in the comments as well, or in the chat, excuse me. All right, let's jump in. So tell me your thoughts on hard work, why you're here. Let me do a little bit of an intro. And then, like I said, I'm gonna, let's let this be a conversation, and feel free to ask questions as we go. So when I think about hard work, a couple of things come to mind, and a couple of things come to mind. And it really, for me, ends up being, you hear a lot of advice on one end of the spectrum or the other, right? I talk about this all the time. We are pendulum swingers. Some of us more than others. I'm a really good pendulum swinger. And our brain likes to categorize things. Our brain wants to categorize things, right? So let's just, thanks brain, you're being a brain. But our brain wants to categorize things. And so what happens a lot of times when it comes to running a business and your relationship to hard work, or what that really even means, is one of two things. I hear advice around, and this is more from my corporate career, but it's out there everywhere, right? Like, you have to put in the reps. You have to work your ass off. If you want something, put in the time. If nothing comes from no hard work, right? Like the pressure, the rush, the hurry up, the let's make a, what's it called? Like a really short, a tight deadline for something, right? Like, I'm going to decide I'm going to do something on Monday and I need to get that shit out by Friday, right? And like, depending on what that is, maybe not. Right. So I think most people know the hustle culture, the hard work sort of. I personally lived and breathed that for hundreds of years in my corporate career. And I also, something I think to share just about my story, if you're not familiar with my background, is I went, and this is actually not something I share very often, I went to a very a private high school, very pressurized, very high stakes, very smart people, some of the best education I've ever gotten in my life. Also, like, not to say that it was all total crap, but it was to the point where when I finally went to college, and I went to a really good school that is objectively a really good college, undergrad, I like took a break when I went, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. All I have to do is this course load, right? That's how hard my high school was 10 times harder than college for me. And so my childhood, and I also went to that school from first grade to 12th grade, and it was like, it was just progressively, seriously hardcore for a non-perfectionist, creative kid, type B. Like, I plan my business out a lot, but the way I live my life out there, I'm pointing out there out the window, like the way I live my life out there is I'm actually incredibly comfortable with no plan, and most of the time I prefer no plan. To put me into that environment was not ideal, right? And then of course I went into corporate, and I worked for one of the big 5 consulting firms, and I did all the things, right? I burned out before I even started this business. And one of the reasons I started this business was because I burned out, was because I was slightly misaligned. The environment was incredibly misaligned to the way that I like to do work. And frankly, it just wasn't healthy anyway. I know many of you have had that experience as well. Most of us who started businesses, this is our second career, but many reasons, because we want that autonomy, we want the freedom, we want the creativity, I wanted to be the boss personally. I really wanted to be in charge, and in charge of myself, and in charge of my schedule. But also, if you've burned out, I have a lot of clients. Let me see if I agree with myself. I actually think my clients probably are about more or less 50-50. Some of them are more type A, overworked, because that's the belief system that they really buy into. And then I think maybe another 50% is a little more like me, type B, never bought into it, but kind of just got stuck in this environment and then kind of kept seeking that environment out, because that's our childhood trauma, because that's what our brain does, right? Because that's familiar. And so what I want to say about this is, wherever you land, so culture, hustle culture, many people burnt out, all the things, that's an easy one, right? And I think we like to blame it. I personally like to blame it for a lot of stuff. And it's also, in many cases, like good ideas just gone to the extreme, right? Like, that's capitalism, that's productivity. Okay, great, let's make this more efficient. But like, we took it too far, right? And then we've created all this pressure on our kids and on ourselves and right? Everybody knows that. The other side of it, though, is, for me, my experience was I didn't really experience the other side of it until I came into the online space. And I was like, okay, okay, I've unraveled from the hustle culture. Like, I got that. I know that I want to build a business around the way that I work and what, I just don't believe that I have to run around like a crazy headless chicken in order to be successful. And then I went over here and it was like, sit on the beach and drink your Mai Tai while the passive income funnel is working for you. And I joke, but like, you know what I mean, right? So, and then the money just rolls in and you don't really have to do anything. And that was, I started my business in 2017. That was more so back then. I do think the pendulum has swung a little closer to the middle, but it is still very, very, very much that messaging, right? And what I've been calling it lately is that soft era messaging, right? Nothing's wrong with being in your soft era. Nothing's wrong with saying like, I'm gonna stop pushing so hard. Holy crap, this is too much, right? Especially if you are in the process of unraveling from overworking, right? We do need to move ourselves along that continuum and be softer and find a way to take care of ourselves and rest and all of that stuff. And again, all of these things are good ideas. Please take care of yourself. Please, all of those things. And when we swing the pendulum all the way to the other side and we look at this soft era messaging and we apply it to any context in our business, it doesn't actually work. And now we make ourselves wrong for pretty much anything, right? You're wrong if you're working, and then you're wrong if you're working less, or you're wrong if you're working too much, and you're wrong. Like, what even is too much? Now I have to decide what the answer is. What is too much is in the eye of the beholder. It's like, what's too much for you in your business right now? And again, that all comes from good intentioned advice, right? We want to be healthy. We want to be regulated. Like, I'm not mad at any of that. That's 100% my goal. And when we take that advice too far, we have an expectation of ourselves of this passive income. I'm sorry, like the passive income I know about is things like investing. Like investing in the stock market is passive income. And also I would argue it still requires some awareness of knowing what you're going to invest in or choosing the right financial advisor to support you in making good investments, right? Like, I just don't know anything that's like easy and doesn't require any work. But we sort of have that mindset or that messaging in the online space, and that's really what I want to sort of pull us back from, because the other piece, it gets really damaging. The other piece that happens with that is then if you're working hard, right? Now you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong if you're working hard, right? And working hard doesn't necessarily mean that you're in hustle culture vibe, right? Working hard doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. Overworking might be to doing something wrong. But again, we have to define that for ourselves. What is healthy work for you? A healthy pace for you? I will say, like, for me, I would say every 6 months, my pace changes, right? Like, I think it was a year ago, I had like a 2-month sprint where I just had a lot of stuff I wanted to do. I was really excited about it. They all kind of came in at the same time. I had a client with a lot of work. I used to do like a side consulting project, which I wrapped up, but they had some stuff going on that I really wanted to be a part of, and it just kind of all, and I was like, okay, we're just going to work more for the next 2 months. But a sprint by definition has a start, right? If you think about like the sprint on the track, it's like we have a starting line and we have a finish line, right? And so I was able and willing to do a sprint, and I still like fed myself and took care of myself, and right, I wasn't swinging to the other side of going crazy. But I was willing to do that as a person who already had burned out. And one of the things that I really carried with me for a long time, and it still sneaks up on me every now and then, is this fear or an overwhelm of being working too much. Again, based on whatever my brain thinks, not necessarily based in reality. And so I was willing to do that. I had to do a lot of mindset work around that, right? But I was willing to do that because it was work I wanted to do. I had the time and I wasn't traveling. I wanted what was on the other side, and I actually wanted to go through that experience, and I wanted to test my pace. Like, what is too much? What is, not to push myself too far, but like I wanted to test that belief system of like, oh, this might be too much, because that's always the thing I'm going to say. I'm always going to say it's too much for myself. And then I'm going to go, wait, what's true? Let me back it up a little bit. This is probably the space to go. So if we are, where was I going with the sprint? Well, like if we're going to sprint, knowing what's the purpose, like if it's by definition short term, then can we just let that be okay, right? I have clients that are, I wrote this down because I wanted to share this. Except now I can't find it. I have clients that are working part-time, 20, 25 hours a week. I have clients that work seasonally. I have clients that take a month off in the summer to be with their kids. I have a client that takes an entire summer off every summer to be with their kids, right? Yes, they're working more before the end of the summer, and they're working more at the end after the summer, like in the fall, right? Like by definition, they're just choosing that pace for themselves. And so today I'm going to talk a little bit about like how to find that your middle ground, and some ways to think about it, because I do think that no matter what side of the spectrum you're on or what messaging you're over, like what messaging is coming into you too much, I think there are plenty of things that you can do and shift to find a healthier way of being. And that's really what I want to talk about today. Okay. I'm going to check the comments and then I will keep going. This is really bothering me. There we go. Zoom, why did you change stuff? Okay. Yay. Yes, you can totally be in the background. All good. I feel like I should, in quotation marks, work hard when I'm not putting in more hours. I always question whether I'm doing the right task. I think that is so normal. So normal. Like, I bet you everybody that's listening to this live and on the replay is like, yeah, I do that too. I can tell you I do that too. And I think that there's a lot of things underneath that, but some of this messaging that we're talking about, it's what's out there in society is just like not helpful, because it's telling us we're wrong, right? And then we tell ourselves we're wrong, or we're like, well, I must be missing something, so let me go figure out the thing I'm missing instead of like the thing that I actually need to be doing. I do that as well. Interesting one. I think you mean like interesting topic. Having just now gotten back from caregiving, which feels like work versus financial reward. Yes, 100%. 100%. I'm transitioning out of medicine with an insane, yes, oh my God, that environment, with an insane amount of work and time commitment. And all I know is that I don't want to work that way, which is insanity, 100%. And actually 100% a toxic product of patriarchy. Yes, I don't want to build my business on that paradigm. Yeah. Yeah. And the opposite isn't going to serve you either, right? The opposite isn't going to serve you either. So that's kind of what I want to talk about today. Perfect. Let me just check my notes. Where did I leave off? I don't know about you guys, but like I make my grocery list and then like I go through the whole store and then I'm like, okay, what did I miss? Because I pretty much have it all. I do that here. I have all these notes and then like I just talk about it in a different order. Yeah, so I do want to say, like, if you have burned out before, that is a trauma. Let's call it capital T or little lowercase t, depending on your experience, but that is like, let's call that a trauma. And I think something that I've really done a lot for the last 8 years that I would like to share, if this resonates with you, this is just a tip you can use if you want to. Because again, I would say the first like 3, maybe 4 years in business, I used to have the Sunday scaries. And I remember being like, what am I dreading? What am I afraid of? What am I stressed at? What is stressing me out? Every Sunday night I'd be like, oh my God, blah, blah, blah. And it was because my brain was just in a habit of that, right? From my corporate career, right? That was how and my final, I would say the last like 3 years of my corporate career, maybe the last 5, I knew I wanted out. I knew I wanted another career. I was committed and decided on that. And I actually stopped being an employee and was doing contract freelance work as a way to start that exit for myself. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I was a single person responsible for myself, living in a big city in San Francisco. And So I stayed in the job to pay my life until I figured out what I wanted to do. It took me a long time to figure out what I wanted to do. And so I was, especially in those last few years, the Sunday Scaries, right? Fast forward, I started this business and that kept going. And so just to give you a perspective too, that like nothing is wrong with you if you still have that, like just because we unravel from something or we exit a system, the medical system, the corporate system, whatever, just because we exit the system, just because we exit a bad toxic relationship doesn't mean like, okay, everything leaves with that and we throw it all in the trash and now we're good, right? Like, yeah, that helps a lot and that's necessary. And also we still gotta like work on the residual, thought processes that we sort of took on. So again, in my Sunday Scaries, I realized that and it took me several years to let go of that. A couple of things that I've done with that. One is I would actually look at my real calendar and be like, oh, so-and-so's on my calendar this week. That's awesome, right? Because the old me in corporate was like, oh, I don't want to go to that meeting. Oh shit, I'm not ready for that. I have to deadline. Oh crap, right? Here, it's like, yes, I have work to do, but like when I see the people on my calendar, like these are clients that I've chosen. These are clients I love working with, right? And so one of the things that I used to do is to just actually look at the real thing. Oh, I'm scared of my calendar. Well, what does it actually look like? If I'm scared of it and it's really scary and not realistic or it's going to wear me out, then I just move stuff, right? So I like start to look at the truth. I love Byron Katie. I can't remember what her book is called, but she has several books. Byron, Byron, Katie, Katie. And she talks about like, is it true? Right? It's a way, and it's basically like it's also like a coaching approach. Like, is it true? And then when the person goes, F yeah, it's true. Then it's like, okay, but is it really true? You ask yourself it again because you're like, okay, I don't know if it is actually true that my calendar is scary for next week. Let me look at it. And I'm in charge. I'm in control. I'm the business owner. I'm the boss. If I don't like my calendar, I can change it. And that doesn't mean that I need to change it. Right? But it does mean that I don't have to get myself wrapped up around it. And so that was one of the things that I did. I used to look at my calendar and then I'd be like, oh yeah. And it helped my brain get different evidence, right? Because it was just stuck in a pattern. Oh, a full calendar is scary because it used to be. It used to be mean that I really wasn't safe. Safe according to my brain. And then I would go, wait, let me look at the calendar. Oh, there's Bobby. Oh, there's Susie. Oh, there's blah, 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 right? Like I want to work with them. Great. And that started to help. So that's one thing. The other thing that I used to do, those are two things. One is look at the actual calendar. Two is use the Byron Katie, is that true? So remember that there's an action you can take. If your calendar is too busy, you can and maybe should move some things. But if you ask yourself, is that true? And you look at objectively, neutrally, the calendar, you might be like, oh, I'm just like in a pattern. I'm just in an old pattern. It doesn't actually resonate with the reality of today because your brain needs to catch up. And on that one, my brain had to catch up for several years. And I still use that when I feel overwhelmed to help me make good decisions about how can I work at my pace. And sometimes my answer is, yeah, it's going to be a busy week. I got it. I can handle it. That doesn't mean I'm overworking. Right? That doesn't mean that I'm doing too much. It doesn't mean anything. Maybe I want to do some meal prep. Maybe I want to maybe there's some things I want to do. Ask my partner to support me around so that I can not maybe I don't do so many social engagements during the week or whatever. Like maybe I want to make some good decisions around that, but it doesn't mean I can't do it. And I think those of us who have burned out, we also have oftentimes a belief system around what we can't do. Right? Okay. And then my favorite, the patriarchy. You've already mentioned this one, right? The double bind of the patriarchy. And this is for women specifically, but it's not just for women. Like it's the double bind is, you can find a double bind anywhere you want. Right? But it's the double bind or the double standard of like, make sure you work hard because you need to, if you're running a business, you're the boss and you need to make a lot of money and you need to do all these things and like all these blah, 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 but also make sure that it looks easy and make sure you're resting and take care of yourself and blah, 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 and just pretend like and gaslight yourself around it, because you need to do both of the extremes and make it look like everything's fine. That's the patriarchy. That's going to ask you to gaslight yourself, and you're always going to make yourself wrong when you believe that stuff. It comes from, it's the patriarchy, but I think one of the sort of basic feminist principles that I resonate deeply with is like, there is traditionally, according to society, there is a way to be a leader and there's a way to be a woman. And when you list those characteristics, they are not the same, right? So if we take that to business, there's a way to run a business and there's a way to take care of yourself, and those two things can't go together, right? That's the belief system that we're swimming in. And the truth is those things can go together. You just have to pick which pieces on which side you're going to do. And you have to make them fit together. Your job is to make them fit together and to know yourself and to know your business. Because if you know what yourself needs and you know yourself needs, if you know what you need and you know what your business needs, then you can start to just, I always talk about like running your business, your relationship with your business is like a partnership, any other partnership. If you're not getting what you need, the business can't, like, it might run, but it's going to run you into the ground, or ultimately it's not going to be sustainable, which means it won't continue to grow or scale or reach the people that you want it to, or whatever, accomplish whatever it is you want it to. Ultimately, it won't be able to reach its full potential because you're not taking care of you, because you're not getting what you need. And then same. If your business isn't getting what you need because you need to be in your soft era and you need to take care of yourself 24/7. Again, if you're recovering from something, please take care of yourself and don't listen to me right now, right? We're talking about like how to reconcile this when the truth is we just need to run our business. When we're not recovering from something, please take care of yourself always, right? But if I'm only taking care of myself, then I would be diving all the time, right? I would be out there in the ocean, underwater, looking at fish and being a fish. And then like sprinkling, like coming back to my work when I feel like it. And then my clients are not going to be supported. They're going to be like, where are you? Can you please show up for our calls, right? Like the business isn't getting what it needs. And I choose to run my business like, actually, let me hold that. Okay, so the problems that this creates, and this is where I really want you to see like which one of these is hitting you. We're going to talk about the problems that this sort of double bind can create, and then we're going to talk about some things that you can do about it. Okay. So the thing that I might repeat this again, but the thing I want you to see in all of these is actually the problem that this creates. So if you're trying to be efficient and you don't want to work too hard, but you also want to do the right thing for your business, and you also want to make a lot of money, and you also want your business to go where you want it to go, and you also want to take care of yourself, right? If you want all those things, the irony is when we follow the two extremes of the advice, right? If we are too much in our soft era, quote unquote, that's just my words, or if we're too much in hustle culture, we get the opposite of what we want. So because what happens is you have, or if you're trying to double bind yourself, if you're trying to play both sides, right? I hope this is making sense. I'm not trying to conflict against myself, contradict myself. But if you're trying to play the double bind and hold both and be perfect, right? Which isn't realistic. It's not a realistic expectation. You're trying to do the impossible. When you put yourself in that place and you put pressure on yourself to either be hustly or either be soft while also making a shit ton of money, right? That approach puts pressure on yourself, judges yourself, you make yourself wrong. All of that, ironically, is really hard. It's really hard. That's what makes business hard. That puts you in a space of working so much more, right? Like the judging of yourself and the pressure is another job now. You've just given yourself, like, you've got the running of your business, the taking care of yourself, and now you've got another job of judging yourself and making sure you're not doing it right. Making sure you're doing it right, not doing it wrong, right? What did you say? Like, I always question whether I'm doing the right tasks, right? So now we all have to put on our list the right tasks, and then we need to go execute on them, right? But you've given yourself another job. I'm deciding on the right tasks, and then I'm like wondering if I'm deciding right on the right tasks, right? So now you've got two jobs. So the irony is, when we go to either extreme of this crappy advice, that's when business actually is hard. That's when we make it hard. No judgment. This is just, we're humans. That's when it actually is less efficient because you're not solving the right problem, right? And so whether it is hard or it feels hard, it doesn't matter. That's what makes people then burn out in ways even when they're not overworking. Does that make sense? Okay. So, problems this creates. Number one, it sets you on a path of solving a problem that you don't have. It sets you on a path of solving a problem that you don't have. I've got 2 examples, but there's millions. And one of the things that I will constantly tell a client is like, I'm sorry, that's not a problem, right? Like we decide that something is a problem, and it's actually, we're trying to solve the symptom, right? We're looking at the symptom and we're saying, oh, here's the symptom of my business. I need to go do X. And the truth is you need to go do Y, right? And so if you're telling me X is a problem, I'm going to tell you X is not a problem, Y is a problem. I'll give you a couple examples. So the first thing I love, this is one I talk about a lot. If you think you're doing it wrong, right? Or if you think it's too easy, either way, it's going to send you back to the drawing board. You're not going to take, like, let's take an offer. You have an offer that's not selling or not selling the way that you think it should. And instead of looking at, as long as the offer, let's assume that the offer is solid in itself. If it has work to do, that's where I would start. But if the offer is solid, then it's the next step that you need to work on. Sales, marketing, messaging, getting your name out there, right? Like all the things. But if we think that the problem is that it's too hard, right? Oh, I did this, I put this offer out, it didn't sell the way I wanted to, it didn't feel easy, so I should go back and find the offer that's perfect, that has no drawbacks, and then I should start over, and then I should go, like keep going, right? So what happens is we then often will go back to the drawing board before anything has a chance to do what it needs to do. The other thing that I see, so one is it'll make you start over, solving a problem you don't actually have. Oh, instead of continuing along this path, I just need to start over, right? The other way that it will send you is it'll send you into working on something that isn't a problem. So I'll give you a couple of examples. Actually, I talked about this at the last thing differently. I have a client who her specialty is supporting clients, she supports her clients in like back-end operations, systems, processes, like all the operational pieces. So that's what she's really good at, right? So guess what she goes to do every time her business has a problem, right? She'll be like, oh, I need to go fix the automation. It's not perfect yet. Let me go fiddle with that, right? Because 1, that's what she's good at. 2, that's the lens that she sees through things with her clients, right? And 3, that's the thing she enjoys. And so she's giving herself back to the like, what do you need? What does your business need? She's giving herself what she needs and trying to solve that problem, but that's not actually the source of the problem, right? The source of the problem, let's say, is more often than not, you don't want to hear this, but more often than not, it's actually spending more time and energy on marketing and sales stuff. And so if she will find a really good reason, right? Our brains will find really good reasons to focus on this other thing, like in her case, fixing the automation or making something more automated because it required work to get it out the door, right? Versus, oh, I just need to reach out to those 3 people who booked calls. Oh, I need to reach out to the people who clicked on my link. That's the stuff that's actually not hard. Like objectively, it's not hard. It feels crunchy, right? It may not take a lot, and it doesn't really necessarily take a lot of time. It might take more time than like over automating something, but it's not necessarily more effective. And so when we go to solve a different source of the problem or something that is not the source of the problem, right? And then we end up with the exact same results because we didn't solve the source of the problem. That makes business inefficient. That makes business even harder. No wonder you're trying to get out of the overwhelm of overworking, but you are overworking because you're not working on the right things, right? So okay, I'm going to stick with my notes because I had a logic to this. So yeah, going back to the drawing board, or working on something that's not the actual source of the problem, fiddling with the back end, creating a new offer. Oh, here's another good one. This one was mine for many years. I'd be like, oh, I have this mindset problem, because I freaking love mindset. Like I have a background in corporate consulting. I did a lot of business consulting. I love the consulting part of my work, which is why I'm a business coach. But I'm also a psych major. I really love personal growth. I used to be a hypnotherapist. Like the psychology and the mindset side and human behavior side, that is like my jam. And so for sure, putting the two together is really fun for me. But for myself, I really prefer the mindset stuff, right? I don't want to work on that thing in the business. I bet I have a mindset problem. Let me just go journal about that. Let me have a whole session with my coach about that, right? Because that's what I'm good at. I can see that shit a mile away from my clients, right? I can be like, hold on. We actually need to go over here. Or, oh, actually you think it's a strategy thing, but actually what I'm hearing is mindset. Let's talk about this so that you can actually go do the action that you need to take. And so for me, I'll find a mindset problem that I need to solve instead of doing the thing that my business needs. Doesn't mean that I don't also have mindset stuff, right? Both are true. But if we're not solving the right problem, and I think strategy and mindset are other good examples, right? We might think we have a strategy problem, but we really have a mindset thing that's holding us back. Actually, our strategy is fine. We just need to work on our mindset so we can execute on the strategy, right? Or the opposite. We think we have a mindset problem, and the truth is we just need to work on our business. Okay. So problem number one that this creates, we just talked about, solving a problem that you don't actually have, or not solving the source of the problem. So that gets you to start over. It gets you to work on stuff that you don't need to do. All of that creates more problems. Number two, we talked about this a minute ago, but I want to highlight it again. You create a second job for yourself when you put pressure on yourself, when you make yourself wrong, when you judge yourself, when you go, ooh, I made a decision, but is that the right decision? Right? The yesterday me made a strategic decision for the business, and today, now that I need to execute on it, I'm not so sure that lady was right. Let me go back and think about this, right? Let me see if I saved it. No, I did not. There is a Buddhist parable about the second arrow. I always butcher this story, so bear with me, but essentially it is this concept of, if you're walking through the woods and you get this is old school, right? And somebody throws an what's the word? Lances? What do you do to an arrow? Anyway, shoots an arrow at you and it hits you in the foot, right? Ow. You have a problem. You have arrow number one. You've got a problem. But the meaning that you make of it when you're like, holy shit, I shouldn't have been in the woods in the first place. What was I thinking? I knew I should have done this other thing. Now you've just shot, that's the shoot yourself in the foot. Now you've just shot yourself with a second arrow, and now you have a bigger problem because you've got two arrows in your foot, right? So that's the concept we talked about a minute ago. When you make yourself wrong, when you judge yourself, when you second guess yourself, again, not to say don't do those things because you're human, but when we can just pull back and catch those thoughts over and over and over again, it gets easier to say, hold on a minute, you know what? I'm actually judging myself here and I don't need to. I made a good decision yesterday. I can just do the thing, right? Because then you have a second job. Making yourself wrong is the fastest way to burn yourself out. I don't care if you're working 2 hours a week. And you will be amazed when you work on that concept alone, that mindset alone. You'll be amazed at how much energy you have when you start to let go of some of that, and how much time you have, because you're spending a lot of time and energy that you're not tracking at all with your second job. Your second job is the secret hours that you're not paying attention to. And if, again, even if you're working let's say 2 hours a day, it's the energy drain, right? The judging of yourself is freaking exhausting. Okay. The third problem it can create is just simple avoidance. And our brains are actually really smart. I think actually our brains are really smart and sneaky. That's the whole self-sabotage thing, is the sneaky piece. So the brain is danger, danger, busy schedule, danger, danger, working too much for 2 weeks. I can't do it. That's bad. I already burnt out before. We shouldn't do this, right? That's my danger story. And so if we are uncomfortable with something, danger, I need to reach out to that potential client who said they wanted to work with me and I haven't heard from them in a week. Like, I need to reach out to them. That's my sales process. That's what I set out. That's what I said I was going to do. But now I feel really uncomfortable. And I could make that mean, right? My brain could make that mean, oh, but I should just be in my soft era. So I should just back up and like, see if they want to work with me, they'll call me, right? So it gets sneaky. It's a really good way to allow ourselves to avoid things because we're being in our soft era, right? Again, please take care of yourself. I'm just going to keep saying that. Like, I'm not saying that that's not a thing that you need to do, but the extreme versions, this is how we kind of get in our own way, right? Slapping on this advice in a situation that it doesn't apply. That's really what's happening. So I think what we like to avoid in our business oftentimes is just the I don't wanna stuff. I don't wanna reach out to that person. It feels crunchy to reach out to that person and make them an offer, or to check in, or to whatever. It feels crunchy. Okay. I can just let that be crunchy as opposed to deciding that like I need to go make a new offer, right? Or work on the back end of my business, right? Or work on my mindset even. Like, I just need to do the thing. The other piece about avoidance is I think it's really important. Like, there are advantages and disadvantages to every business model, to every strategy, to every anything you decide in your business. And if we're going to talk about this in a minute, but if you're looking for like the perfect thing, it doesn't exist. And so, but our brains will be like, oh, this must be misaligned, right? Like, that's some of the advice that I see online is like, if it feels hard, it's misaligned, right? And so for avoidance, if we're avoiding, that's a thing that like our brain will pick up on and be like, yeah, this feels too hard. I'm probably doing something wrong. So let me just not do it. Let me just not pay my taxes. Let me just not follow up with that client. Let me not send invoices out because it feels crunchy, right? Like, no big deal. We don't need to get paid, right? Let me just not do the thing because let me just validate for myself sneakily with my little brain, like tell myself that it's okay to avoid something because I came up with a really good reason why not to. Okay, the truth is business is work. I don't mean to state the obvious, but like this is my beliefs. This is what I really think. I think it requires work. I just think it requires work, and it definitely requires work in 2026. It takes effort. Sometimes it feels hard. Sometimes it feels hard, even if it's not, right? Like, I went to the doctor this morning, to the clinic to get some blood work drawn. I'm fine. I just regularly check my blood work, and I'm working on some health things. I have in the past like fainted from giving blood, even like little bits. And so like I have put this shit off for a month because I don't want to. I did not want to, right? My medical professional, I'm sure you had many of me in your room at some point. I was like, I'm worried I'm gonna faint. I don't want to be here. Please be nice to me. I put it off because I don't want to. I just don't want to. It felt hard. Is it objectively, right back to the Byron Katie, objectively, is it true? Is it true that it's hard to go to the doctor and get blood work taken? No, actually, like, the clinic is 10 minutes away. If I know the trick. If I get there at 7 a.m. after fasting all night, I know if I get there at 7, I will beat everybody else that comes in on the buses at 7:30, and I'll be the first one there. I know it's not hard. It's air conditioned. It's easy. The people are so nice to me. They speak English and Spanish, depending on where my brain is. My partner drove me. Like, it took me less than an hour. It's not hard. But it felt hard to me. I didn't want to do it, and so I avoided it for a month. Right? And then eventually I just did it. So sometimes it feels hard even if it's not. Business is like that. Sometimes it feels like your issue is the blood work thing. You don't want to go do that, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's hard. And nobody wants to hear me say this, but sometimes it is actually hard. Sometimes it is actually hard. I personally think the stuff that's the hardest is the mindset stuff. I I really, really, really do. We make meaning out of so many of the practical actions that our business needs. We make meaning out of it. Oh, I'm not good at marketing, so I can't put my content out. Oh, I don't want to be pushy, so I can't follow up on that sale, right? Like that meaning that we make of it. I think a lot of times it's the mindset stuff that is the hardest. Objectively, that's hard. I'm sorry, my nose is running. Hold on 1 second. Right? Like objectively, it can be hard. There are things that are hard. It's hard when the industry changes like it has in the last couple of years. That's hard. And it doesn't mean that you can't run your business. It doesn't mean you can't thrive. I had my second best year ever. Many of my clients are having their best year this year. It doesn't mean that anything about results. And frankly, like just leaning into, oh, okay, it needs me to do this now. The industry needs me to do this now. Oh, my business needs me to do this right now. Just leaning into that instead of deciding that like you need to go off and find the thing that makes it easy can often be the thing that changes it for you. I hope that makes sense. Sometimes we need elbow grease. I'm just gonna say a couple of things that I wrote down. Sometimes we need to have elbow grease. There is hard work. There are moments for sprints. So if, right, the two extremes, the truth is sometimes it's going to be hard. Sometimes it's going to feel hard. Sometimes we need to put in work, and sometimes we need to effing take a break. All things are true. All things are true, and knowing what you need at any given time is the key. So what do we do? I've talked about basically all 4 of these, but I'm going to highlight them again. Number 1, what do we do about it? Get really good. I think this is one of the biggest like CEO skills that we all need to have and hone and keep working on every single year. Everybody I know that is thriving in business and making good money and enjoying the hell out of it and not overworking and has a life on the outside of the business, everybody I know has gotten really good at this skill set, which is get really good at knowing what you need. And knowing what you need at any given time, right? In any season. Oh, for this season, last year, I had a lot of health issues and I had low energy. And so what I needed was to take a bunch of shit off my plate and focus on the things that were the most valuable, that most moved the needle, that also required the least amount of energy for me. And because I knew what that was, I was able to make those decisions. They weren't easy decisions, but I was able to make those decisions and have my second best year in business ever, when I frankly did not have anywhere close to my second best level of energy. And I was not overworking myself. I was actually in a take care of myself kind of mode. So when you get really good at understanding what you need, I always say like what you need, what your business needs right now. That's the key. Know what you need, make sure you're getting that, and make sure you're getting the majority of your needs met, right? But you also don't need to get your needs met from your business. You can also get them met outside of your business. And then know, this is the key that I think a lot of people miss. I know what I need. I need rest. Never mind, clients, hope you'll see me next week, right? Like, yes, if you're sick, yes, if you need that, of course, send them a message, whatever. Like, there are times for that, but know what you need, but also know what your business needs. That skill set, we always need to know. If you don't know what your business needs, that alone will send you on a path of working too much, will send you on a path of changing your decisions over and over again and not being, as you said, not being sure about whether you're working on the right tasks, because you might not be. Because if you don't know what your business needs right now, does it need more traffic? Does it need more conversions? Do you need to be nurturing your pipeline? Are you in a season of heavy client delivery? In which case, maybe your marketing and sales is a little bit more pulled back, right? Like, can you change your percentage of how you're doing various things? Again, usually not one or the other, right? Oh, I'm only in client delivery right now. That's a surefire way to need clients in 6 months, like to not have any clients in 6 months. Right? But if you know what your business needs, that helps you know what actions to take. It helps you with the, am I doing the right thing? Right? It helps you with the self-sabotage. It helps you with that second arrow if you know what your business needs. And if you know what you need and you know what your business needs and you work to put them together, again, like a partnership and a compromise so that everybody gets what they need, then it doesn't feel as hard. It just doesn't feel as hard. It doesn't mean, again, like I'll use myself as an example last year. The decisions I had to make, the things I had to cut out, I did not want to cut out. It was a hard decision to make because I had to take a hard look at my business and my capacity and put them together. But it wasn't a hard decision to make in the sense that I knew exactly, like I walked through it with my coach. I gave myself a couple of weeks to think about it. I really pondered it and like did all the scenarios in my head, but I really knew first at the very beginning, I knew what I needed to let go of. I just didn't want to. I didn't want to let go of it. And that's okay. That was hard here, right? But it was the right thing to do for me and my business at that season. And that made it less hard. Hard at the moment to make the decision. It would have been a lot harder to not make that decision and not execute on that. If you don't know what your business needs right now, that's a really great thing for a strategy session. Really great topic for a strategy session. And I think that's also like, if you don't know what your business needs, that's the problem to solve right now. And frankly, if you don't know what you need right now, that's the problem to solve too. Get really, really clear on both of those things, and you will thank me for it, I promise. And I think, how do you know if it's, so that's number one, know what you need, know what your business needs. Number two, know what it really means to be aligned, right? We talked so much about today about like, there's downsides to everything. Like, is it really hard or do I not just wanna? Because I think the mindset out there or the messaging out there is like, if it feels hard, it must be wrong. And I think the way that I answer that question is like, not necessarily, but it depends. Like, let's slap that advice on the right situation, right? If it feels hard and sticky for you to deliver client work to your clients, if it, like the actual work itself, right? For me, it's the one-on-one coaching. If that feels hard and sticky, or I kind of dread it, or I don't really enjoy it that much, or if your business model isn't aligned to the way that you want to deliver work and the way that your clients need you to deliver that work, if your business model, if your offer, if your work itself, if that's not aligned, macro, big picture, yeah, that's not aligned. Right? Like if that doesn't feel good and interesting to you, if that's not what you want to, you know, I always say like build the business now that you want. Don't think that you can, that you have to do this business model now so that you can do that business model later. That's just not sustainable. It's really hard to get to the later. So if you're not enjoying that macro, yeah, it's misaligned and it's always going to feel hard. If I decided that I needed to be a tax accountant right now, it's always going to feel hard. I don't want to do that. That's not interesting to me. But if I'm macro, I've got the business, I love my one-on-one, I love coaching, I love working with people and their mindset and strategy, I love my offers, I think they align to what clients need at different times. I really, really love that. That's all good and set, that's aligned. Now, day-to-day micro, if there's a task on my list that I don't want to do, doesn't necessarily mean it's not aligned, because it should be aligned up to that macro of getting me what I want and the way the business is set up. Then it's just I don't wanna. Right? Micro day to day, if it's just an I don't want to, okay, but is it going to get me where I want to go? And then it just feels less hard, right? If I can see that alignment of the I don't want to task, if it aligns up to the thing that I want, then it doesn't feel so hard. Does that make sense? So big picture, align your business. Day to day micro, maybe get over yourself, right? We all kind of need to sometimes. And easier said than done. And that's so much, honestly, like I'm joking with the get over yourself, but like day to day, that's a lot of the work that I'm helping my clients do, is work through some of those micro things that seemingly we should be able to do ourselves, seemingly shouldn't be so hard, seemingly blah, blah, blah. But like it's so much easier to have somebody else point that out to you and set you on the right path so that you are working on the right things and you know you're working on the right things. Okay, number 3, stop making yourself wrong. I talked about that a million times, but I just want to say that one more time. The more you can let go of making yourself wrong, the more you can work on how you speak to yourself, the easier it will feel And never, again, don't underestimate the power of even unraveling from that 1% change on that one mindset alone will buy you back hours in your day and energy in your body. And then a couple of little mindset questions, a couple of mindset questions I wanted to share, because I think this can help when you are stuck in something that you don't want to do, that feels, again, when you're trying to decide if something, am I actual like hard work, working 90 hours a week with a lot of deadlines, really stressing myself out, or is it this task feels hard, right? If it's when this task feels hard, or when you're looking at like a 2-week sprint or a 2-month sprint or something like that, right? Here's some questions I like to ask myself. Is this something I can realistically do for the amount of time I need to do it? I'm going to say that again. Is this something I realistically need to do? Is there something I can realistically do for the amount of time that I need to do it? And I use the sprint as an example, but you could insert anything in here, right? One-on-one coaching. Is this something I realistically can do for the amount of time I need to do it? I need to do that for forever, right? If I have a one-on-one business model, I need to do that for the long term. Can I do that? Yes, I would honestly do that for free. I do that for free. Like, I'll take friends out to dinner, and I'm like, okay, I'm coaching you. We got to stop, right? That's just easy for me to do. I really love it. That's the way that I like to be in the world. If I had more time, if there was time that I didn't have to spend on my sales and marketing, I would serve more clients. So I would always do that. So that's an easy decision for me. Micro, little thing, if I'm going to do that 2-month sprint like I did last year, I don't think it was last year, 2 years ago, is this something I can do for this time period? Not, can I do it forever? That's not the question I needed to ask myself. Can I just do it for this time period? And that helps you get more neutral. It helps you come back to reality. A couple more minutes. We're right at the top of the hour. If those of you who are live need to go to another call, but I'm going to stay just a few more minutes because I got a couple more things here. Is this actually hard, or is it the meaning I'm making about it? Is it the meaning I'm giving it? Is this actually hard, or is it the meaning I'm giving it? The blood work is a great example. I need to do it. The thing I want on the other side of giving, I'm saying I'm giving blood. I'm not giving blood. They're taking my blood to test it. I'm acting like I'm donating. Side note, the people at the blood drive many, like 20 years ago told me, like, honey, please don't come back. Please, you're not a good blood giver. Like, you're going to pass out. You're just like taking up a bed for longer. Like, please don't be a martyr. Like, you don't know. And I think it's such good advice, right? Like, I wanted to give blood so badly because I had reasons that I wanted to. And, but I was fainting and like taking up their time, and like, it took a really long time to get this is just not my thing, right? Side note. But is it more the meaning I'm giving it? I know that I build that up in my head to be bigger than it actually is. And it's always, even when I do pass out, it's never as bad as I think it's going to be. And so the question being, is this more about the meaning that I'm giving it? So if you're looking at something in your business, is it what your business needs? Back to like, is this what I need, or is this what my business needs? Is everybody getting their needs met? Yes. Because also if your business gets its needs met, you then therefore that meets a need for you in terms of fulfillment, in terms of money, in terms of enjoyment, in terms of productivity, maybe not productivity, but like a sense of accomplishment. And then if that's about the meaning, then now you have a mindset problem, not a strategy problem. Like, there's nothing wrong with the task that you decided to work on. It's the mindset. And then my favorite, I mentioned this a few times, a few Think Differently ago, but I will keep saying this. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? And another way to ask that one is, do I want what's on the other side? Blood work, I wanted what was on the other side. I wanted to see if the things that I'm doing are actually moving. I feel better, but I want to see it on paper, right? I want my doctor to see that so that they know what things I need to take next, if anything, right? I want what's on the other side, so I'm willing to go do the hard thing that to me feels hard, to go get my blood drawn. Business. I always use this follow-up, right? I know that I need to follow up with this person that I don't want to because it feels crunchy. Okay, but do I want what's on the other side of it? Do I want to work with this particular person? Hell yes. Did I decide that this is how I'm going to set up my sales process? Yes. Okay, so that can help me do the hard thing if I know, if again, micro, I can take that micro task and align it macro up to the big thing that I want. That makes it a lot easier. Doesn't mean that it's not crunchy. It doesn't mean it's not a thing, but it's just not a 9 out of 10, right? And sometimes all we need to do is shift our fears and our stress and our overwhelm around something. We only need to shift it like 1%, 10%, right? We don't need to make it perfect. I don't need to be like, I love blood drawing activities. Like, I don't need to be like that in order to just go do the damn thing, right? I don't need to love it. I just need to want I just need the tipping point, right? I just need to want what's on the other side more than I want to avoid it, because I will avoid it, right? But what I want on the other side, I won't. That's when it's like that's when it gets to that, like, make yourself do it. It's just a lot easier to make myself do it because I just want the thing. And it's also not that hard. Again, I thank you to myself for choosing the blood draw, because I think that's actually a really good example. Again, that's separate from business, because I think it's easier to find a life example and then go, okay, I'm doing the same thing here in business. Okay, I'm gonna just check the comments. Any other questions? Was this helpful? Is there anything else? Oh, the other thing I was just gonna say is, those of you who are live, if you've got a topic that you want me to speak on, teach on, if there's something that I said today that you were like, ooh, could you please talk more about that? Let me know. I haven't picked the next topic yet, so for later this month. So you have influence on the next topic. And if you wanted to enter yourself to win a free mini session, go ahead and do that too. I'm just going to double check the comments. Oh good, the social media talk last week was amazing. I'm so glad. I'm so thank you for telling me that. Yeah, I'm so glad to hear that. Good. Yeah, I think if you missed that one, it was how to keep your values aligned while also running your business on social media. I know that a lot of people are, myself included, are having those conversations and thinking through, is this still aligned for me, or how do I keep this still aligned for me? So good. I'm glad. Thank you. This was super helpful. Time to get really clear on what I need and what my business needs. Good. Yeah, I really do think that not knowing that makes it really hard. So once you know that, it just makes everything else easier. And if you're struggling, and once you know that, if you do struggle with something, fine, it's okay if it feels hard. But if you can that's a good anchor point to come back to. Hold on a minute. I know that what I need is this, and what my business needs is this. So that's really the only problem to solve, right? Instead of, now I need to go, again, my favorite example is now I need to check out the back end of my business, or now I need to make a new offer. Maybe sometimes that is the answer, right? But oftentimes it's just, we're trying to solve the problem with an action that isn't going to get us there. And then we get to tell our brains that we're being productive. Oh, look at me, I'm being busy. I'm creating this new offer that really just didn't need to be done, or could be great, but doesn't solve the problem. Thank you. You're welcome. And this session was good to get me realigned into a different mindset to run this business. I'm so glad. That's exactly my job here is done. That's exactly what we're here to do. Good. All right, my friends, I will let you go. Thanks for hanging with me. This is lovely, and I will see you soon.